Hey everyone, it's David out here in Korea on week 27. Not too much of an eventful week. Started off kind of overcast and kind of hazy. Air quality's, of course, not been good. Weather is still cold, hoping that it warms up very soon, but we'll see what happens. So I decided to record what my typical Saturday and Sunday look like. So this is Saturday. I usually get up in the morning, and it just kind of depends whenever. And sometimes it's 8 o'clock, sometimes it's 7 o'clock, sometimes it's 9 o'clock, just whenever I get up and going. I take the elevator down from my spot and head all the way down to the first floor. These elevators have been making some crazy noises lately, a little bit scary, but all the wind blowing through the elevator shaft makes me wonder if these elevators are on their last leg, but they seem to function fine for now. It just needs to last a little bit longer while I'm out here. So this was Saturday morning, like I said, and was on my way out to get coffee. And that's usually the first thing that I'll do. And that usually gets me out. If I really have nothing else to do for the day, first thing I'll shoot for is, well, let me go find coffee from somewhere. And usually I'll just hit the Starbucks, but there's a couple of other coffee spots that every once in a while I'll have frequent, but usually to get me out of bed, to get moving, something to do, I usually go and find a Starbucks. And I've been laying off my caffeine intake. That was my New Year's resolution, and so far I've been holding up to it. So a cup of decaf is about all that I can really drink now. Like I said, the weather's still cold. It looks a little deceptive here because it was bright and sunny, but it's still about 30 degrees this morning. And there's parking with this building. You can see I'm kind of recovered up there. There's parking with this building, but it fills up really quick. If you missed the opportunity to park right next to the building, then unfortunately you had to park way out into the back parking lot and trudge through the cold all the way to get there. Unfortunately, that's what I had to do. So as soon as I get in the car, I'll start it up, and then I make sure to crank the heater as far as it'll go to make sure that it starts warming up. So I actually get some heat flowing through the car. And this car is fairly nice also, because along with the heater that blasts a lot of hot air, it's also got heated seats in it. One thing it doesn't have is the air conditioning, so that might be problematic when it comes to the summertime, but we'll see. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. As you can see, it was cold. All the trees are still dead. No life has really been produced out of them just yet, but everybody says the cherry blossoms will be blooming here in about the next month or so we'll see what happens with that. This morning I decided to go get some pancakes and some eggs. There's a local place that kind of does a brunch style meal, so I went and got that, and so I got banana pancakes and 2 eggs over easy, which was not too bad. It doesn't compare to home, but it was not too bad. And then after that I decided to go get Starbucks, so I got food in my stomach first and then went and got a coffee. And around this area there's a whole bunch of Starbucks, and they're usually not too crowded in the morning because most of the Koreans drink their coffee towards the afternoon or very late morning. So if I can get in there before then, usually I can come out of there with a cup of coffee pretty easily. After that, I had to go make some change. And I decided, if you saw my vehicle within the first couple of frames, you saw it probably wasn't as clean as it could possibly be, with all the snow removal and all that kind of stuff on the streets, and all the salts and all that kind of accumulated over time. And I decided it was time to wash off the car with a power washer, but it definitely was a cold wash for sure. After that, I ended up going to this grocery store, or not a grocery store, the dollar store that I've often frequented. Had to pick up a couple of things, and then after that, one of the plants that I had, it was a pine plant, ended up drying out, and through no fault of its own, entirely my fault, ended up drying out, and I didn't realize I wasn't watering it enough, and so I ended up having to toss that one, and came to the same nursery that I often go to and tried to find another one. And again, with this place, they haggle sometimes, and I ended up finding this one, which I don't usually haggle with them, but I think I paid almost 30,000 won for the first one of those and 15,000 for this one, so their prices fluctuate greatly. After that, I had to pick up a few items and went to another store to do that. And after that, sometimes in the afternoons I got a lot of free time, so I decided to go to the gym. And on this day, I ended up, some days I do a harder workout or a longer run, and this day just felt like a walking day, so I decided to take a nice easy walk around the indoor track because it's just still far too cold outside to be walking in the cold, and if I walk in the cold for too long, the next day I'll have a cough and a sore throat, so didn't want to do that. When I got back to my place, I decided to plant the new pine tree that I got, so I kept the old pot that the previous one was in and just transferred this one to that same pot. And I had some potting soil left over, so that came in handy, and I added a little bit to it to top it off, and overall it turned out pretty good. It's not as big and flamboyant as the previous one that I had, but it looks pretty good. I think it'll grow a little bit more over time. That night, I got invited out with some work people to go have a Korean barbecue dinner, so ended up doing that and had a good time. And then went back home, got some sleep, and then the next day is Sunday, so got my church outfit laid out. And been going to church pretty well almost every Sunday. This church has kind of a lot of volunteers that play with the worship service, so about once a month or twice a month I'll play with the worship service, and then other than that I just get to be an attendee. So today I was just an attendee. But weather still held about the same as it did in the beginning of the week. Slightly warmer than before, but it's only by a couple of degrees, so still pretty cold. Again, got to start off with coffee. Got my cup of coffee and then headed off to church. And overall, a good week. I hope everybody's doing real good back home. Thanks for everybody that watches the videos. I really like putting these out as long as people are watching them and enjoying them. So thanks, everybody. God bless.